Welcome gamers to the 5th installment of my Beginner to Master series, this time featuring the Kusarigama. The Kusarigama is a bit tricky to get the hang of, but does have the highest ki damage output of any weapon in the game. It applies elemental debuffs quickly, and has some excellent range with crowd control baked into mid-stance. However, it's not an easy weapon to start with, so if you're a beginner, I would expect a larger learning curve. It suffers from fairly slow combos, and has the worst tracking of all the weapon types. It does have quite a bit of tech, making it an interesting and exciting weapon to play with. There is one bit of tech that was patched out thanks to yours truly. I'm not entirely sure if I was the reason for the nerf, but most of the Neo community blames me, so I take credit. There were many applications for this tech, and it is still available in Neo 1. I will link a trolling video below illustrating kind of what it was. Ultimately, Kusarigama is a very fun weapon to play, so let's examine the moveset. Starting in low stance, the Kusarigama has a combo with 5 inputs for a total of, I don't know how many hits, you count them. The strong attack chain is 3 inputs for about 6 or 7 hits. As with the axe, these combo chains benefit from using an evasion attack, allowing for a quick repositioning and combo potential. Mid stance, being most players' go-to stance, has a standard combo of 4 inputs for a total of 4 hits. The strong attack chain is 3 inputs for 4 hits. The first bit of tech is introduced here. In mid stance, the dash attack can be instantly cancelled with a ki pulse, or more effectively, a flash attack. This tech pairs very well with weapons such as Odachi, Spear, or Splitstaff, just to name a few. So if you ever stop by a Neo stream and see something like this, you may be wondering, what was that? Well, what you just saw was Kusarigama's very subtle dash attack tech. Finally, in high stance, we can lock down our opponents with 3 inputs for multiple hits. The high stance strong combo chain is simply a single input for a single hit, but has massive range. However, this attack should really only be used in certain circumstances, as it leaves you with a huge recovery window. I mean, look at this. I may as well order a pizza while I wait. Obviously, this recovery can be cancelled with things like soul cores, burst counters, or a yokai shift. As I have mentioned in every video thus far, ki pulsing is a core mechanic. If you are able to manage your ki to any decent level, you can control the tempo of the fight. This works well with Kusarigama since the damage per hit tends to be lower than other weapons. The true power of the weapon comes from skills, ki damage output, and unique grapple combo opportunities. More on that in a bit. Kusarigama has 2 hidden combat arts, both being dropped by the same opponent. Second Wind, an oddly named grapple type skill that deals moderate damage, moderate ki damage, and high break. This is ki damage dealt while your opponent is blocking. It can be used against yokai, however, the grapple only works against human opponents. This skill must deplete their ki, and works whether they are blocking or not. It will then drop your opponent immediately behind your position. This skill also counts as a grapple for the purposes of removing the curse buff from your opponents. That's the red and purple highlighted enemies. They're in the higher difficulties. The second wind animation confers iframes. The second hidden combat art is Water Drop. This skill has excellent tracking and strikes in 2 parts. The first hit is when you throw the sickle to the ground. This is always thrown at a downward angle. Executing this skill allows you to hang in the air for a short time before pulling yourself back to the ground, delivering a ki damaging kick. This attack allows you to avoid many ground attacks while you're in the air, like a grapple from the Nure Onna or Honda's AoE attack. As with all weapons, high stance bypasses guard, enabling you to execute follow-up skills while your target is locked down. Unlike the previous weapons where players tend to stay in mid stance, I've seen many players opt for high stance while using the Kusarigama. So a beginner level fight may look like this. On your first meeting, the Enki will not use this burst attack. And then here, I illustrate a quick way to remove the Yokai Realm as it interferes with your beginning level ki recovery. This is important. I started the attack in high stance for an easy horn break. Then I counter his burst attack with a Yokai Shift Grapple follow-up, and it's a quick fight. By now, if you've watched my other videos, you may have noticed Nioh is not a Souls-like type of game. You can approach it that way, but you're going to spend a lot of time down at the shrine. Many yokai attacks are timed specifically to catch the rolling mechanic you see in Souls titles. That being said, the evasion roll does have the most iframes, but it also has the most recovery and the highest ki consumption. A quick note to new and veteran players you may not be aware of. Kusarigama has two active components to the weapon. There is the weight, which is a blunt object, and the sickle, which is an edged object. You may think, yeah, BSG, we know. There are a couple reasons I bring this up. One is low damage attacks tend to deal more ki damage. You see this in kicks, pommel thrusts, butt of the spear, etc. The other reason is due to the Kusarigama's choice of mystic art. I'll demonstrate this in a bit. For now, let's take a look at some beginning skill choices. Kusarigama doesn't have many active skill choices early on, so here's what I would suggest. The first skill I pick up with Kusarigama is Retreating Strike for a small disengage, and access to our second skill, Tangle Strike. Tangle Strike will be our primary mid-stance combo ender, dealing a decent amount of ki damage and high break. This will give us a combo follow-up for both our low and mid-stance attacks. The third skill choice is Reaper. The reason for this is because it pairs incredibly well with our fourth skill, Serpent Strike. When using Serpent Strike, you can truncate the startup of your next active skill. I'll demonstrate with Reaper. You notice that after a pull, I can almost instantly go into Reaper for a quick punish. This is unblockable by human opponents for a short time. The fourth skill, as we have already discussed, is Serpent Strike. This is an interesting pull type skill that gives us access to more Kusarigama attack. The other skills available to Kusarigama that act similarly are Black Vines and Deadly Mark. It also opens up human opponents by pulling them towards you and putting them into a heavy recovery state. This allows for follow-ups like Soul Cores or Brute Burst counter for pressure. When used against yokai, the skill will instead pull you towards them. This mechanic can be used as a gap closer, so be creative with it. Other useful active skills that pair well with the pull type skills include Leaping Strike, Crimson Flurry, and Renegade Dragon, which has its own separate tech. I know, Kusarigama has a lot of tech to play with. It's what makes it such an interesting weapon. Once you complete the Way of the Warrior Adept Dojo mission, Kusarigama is another weapon that begins to open up with different active skill options. For this fight, I engage my opponent, but then make sure to distance myself from a close-by warrior. I don't want to get overwhelmed. The foot soldier I'm fighting blocks my attack, so I switch to high stance to counter and apply pressure. I set up a waterfall parry into a serpent strike. After the grapple, I elect to finish him off with another serpent strike. I had mentioned earlier in the video about which mystic art to choose for this weapon. I would go with Waxing Crescent. Why? If you examine the skills for Kusarigama, you will notice that almost all of them use the sickle either exclusively, like Reaper, or in tandem with the weight, like Crimson Flurry. Why is that important? I'll let their key bars speak for me. Kusarigama has the highest key damage in the game. It's no contest. For the final showcase of the video, I take all my knowledge of the Kusarigama and apply it to this fight. Pay attention to the opportunities I make to land hits and still have time to evade safely away. Remember, knowing your moveset and knowing your enemies is the way to master your weapon. As you can see, the Kusarigama is an interesting and fun weapon to play. Thank you for joining me. I have recently started streaming again on Twitch, so if you see me live, please stop on by. I have been Brilliant Suns Gaming. Until next time, and as always, keep practicing.